By 1812, Napoleon Bonaparte had engineered spectacular military victories against all odds for over a decade, achieving a near-mythical aura of invincibility. But that June, he ordered an invasion of Russia. He made this move despite the frantic, explicit warnings of his top generals, who clearly saw the logistical nightmare ahead. Of the 600,000 soldiers who marched into Russian territory, only 100,000 returned. The rest succumbed to starvation, frostbite, and relentless ambushes during a brutal winter retreat. This raises a persistent historical question. Why do deeply experienced, brilliant leaders suddenly make obvious, empire-destroying miscalculations? The ancient Greeks had a word for this: victory disease. They called it hubris. It refers to a dangerous delusion where a mortal acts as if they are an untouchable god, willfully ignoring their own human limits. Former British politician and physician Lord David Owen has spent years studying this exact phenomenon, trying to understand what happens to the human mind under the weight of extreme authority. Owen argues that hubris syndrome is an acquired psychological trait. According to his research, power itself acts as a heady, intoxicating drug that can literally alter a leader's brain chemistry and behavior over time. Immense power erodes a person's internal feedback loops. The very traits that propelled them to the top, supreme confidence and relentless ambition, eventually mutate into a fatal psychological blind spot. This pathology isn't limited to the battlefield. In modern boardrooms, the first warning sign often manifests as the illusion of invulnerability. Take Enron in the late 1990s. The energy company had rapidly evolved from a regional pipeline operator into a towering global giant, widely celebrated as the ultimate corporate success story of its era. Executives like Ken Lay and Jeff Skilling built a culture that worshipped raw intelligence, aggressively hiring young, brilliant minds fresh out of top universities to drive constant innovation. Because they won so big early on, leadership started to believe their own glowing press. They assumed their collective intelligence made them immune to normal market forces and basic accounting rules. When a leader attributes every victory entirely to their own innate genius, they lose the ability to accurately calculate risk. They confuse a lucky streak with absolute control. That overconfidence leads directly to the second symptom, a deep contempt for advice and an active effort to isolate themselves from critics. This diagram represents Enron's internal evaluation framework, the PRC system. It functioned as a mechanism of fear, designed to weed out anyone who questioned leadership. Employees raising concerns about financial irregularities were swiftly labeled not a team player and pushed out of the company. By aggressively silencing their critics, these leaders construct an inescapable echo chamber of sycophants. Without contrary information, they guarantee they will never see the approaching disaster. Eventually, the leader develops hubristic incompetence. They become so consumed by the grand vision of their legacy that they stop paying attention to the mechanical, everyday nuts and bolts of their industry. In the early 2000s, Nokia held an absolute, seemingly unbreakable grip on the global mobile phone market, boasting the strongest hardware and highest market share. Then, in 2007, Apple launched the iPhone, shifting the basis of competition from physical hardware durability to software ecosystems. Suffering from strategic arrogance, Nokia's leadership drastically underestimated this transition. They dismissed the importance of software because it didn't align with what had already made them rich. A stubborn reliance on a past winning formula paralyzes an organization. It prevents leadership from adapting to new, existential threats until the market has already left them behind. In ancient Greek drama, a hubristic act is almost always followed by the arrival of Nemesis, the goddess of retribution, who steps in to punish those trying to defy reality. Historically, this retribution looks like Waterloo, where Napoleon's string of escalating gambles finally collapsed into total military defeat. In the corporate world, it looks like Enron's catastrophic bankruptcy, resulting in billions of dollars lost and top executives facing federal prison sentences. The historical law is highly consistent. Power blinded by its own pride will always miscalculate, and reality punishes arrogance far more swiftly than it punishes weakness. If hubris syndrome is a natural occupational hazard of acquiring power, what is the exact treatment? As this animation illustrates, there is no pill or therapy for hubris. The only effective cure is forced mechanical constraint, designed into the system itself. This requires strict structural checks, democratic term limits, highly active corporate boards, and the appointment of independent advisors whose explicit job is to hold up a mirror and tell the leader the ugly truth. Achieving power requires immense talent, ambition, and drive, but surviving power requires the ultimate discipline of institutionalizing humility long before reality forces it upon you.